Hey, what's going on? Scooch back here again for another video. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's absolutely beautiful here. We're finally starting to get some nice weather in Massachusetts. We're happy the summer is coming around. Hope everybody's staying safe out there with the virus and everything. And just want to, before I get the video started, be sure to hit that like, leave me a comment, subscribe down below. I'm putting out a lot of videos. I'm doing up to 3 videos a week now, and I got a lot of cool content coming, and I want to share that with people. So just follow the channel and keep up with what I'm doing, because I got a lot of good stuff coming. So today I kind of wanted to talk about a question I get asked a lot from my friends that are still new to modifying vehicles, and a lot of them ask, you know, Scooch, how do you get a good exhaust note out of a car? Because some cars are very easy. You know, if you have a V8, you can pretty much have an exhaust leak and it sounds all right. You know, having that 8 cylinders, it's not always a bad sound. Subarus are something that, provided you have the unequal length header, you can pretty much put whatever you want on it and it sounds like a Subaru. You know, it's very distinctive. There's other cars out there that, unless you put the right setup on it, you're not going to get the right tone out of it. It could be very raspy. If it's a cheap exhaust, it could rattle, and that's worse than having rasp. So it's just something that, if you want your car to sound good, anybody can throw an exhaust on a car. If you want the car to sound good, you have to put the time in and do the research. You can't just throw an eBay exhaust on it and hope it's going to sound fantastic, because it probably won't. Now, for me, exhausts were something that I didn't start doing really until I bought my FRS. So that was a car that I experimented a lot with, because at the time, you know, without getting too much into it, I had started out with a muffler delete. That was all right. Then I wanted to put an unequal length header on it because I was going to be keeping it longer than I thought, and I wanted to sound like a Subaru, so I did that. And it sounded all right, but it didn't sound great. And of course, as I always say to anybody, it's tough to have this conversation with people about their exhaust sounding bad, because your car is like your child. You never think your kid is ugly, and you never think your car sounds bad. That's just how it is. If you put work into the car, you never think it sounds bad. And I was that person. So at the time, I didn't think it sounded that bad, but my friends thought it sounded bad, and they told me, and now I look back on it and I say, wow, you know what? It did sound pretty bad. So I had also done, after I had the muffler delete in the header, I did a full catback. It was a Q300. Wasn't loud enough for me, so I deleted the resonator, and it's just, the whole thing just turned into one big mess. Again, it just didn't sound right. I was trying so desperately hard to get that rumble out of it, and it just wasn't working for me. So by the time I finally sold it, obviously I took all the exhaust pieces off, but it taught me a lot. It taught me that you can't just not run resonators. You can, but it's going to take away from the quality of sound. And that's something that, when I realized that resonators and mufflers, although they might quiet the exhaust down, it's going to create a much better tone. Louder isn't always better. So when I bought this Subaru, I knew I wanted it to sound perfect. I had a vision in my head of cars that I had heard, and I knew what I wanted. I wanted between, you know, being loud, and I wanted to sound good. I wanted to be a very clean sound. So I bought a Tomei Extreme Catback, which was the loudest exhaust you can get on the market for this car. And I also wanted the big single tip, so that was part of the reason as well. But it has a resonator, and it does have a muffler. Now, it's not a big muffler. If you're looking at something like the Q300, where there's lots of other exhausts, Borlas usually have a pretty big muffler. Those exhausts are going to limit how high or how loud your exhaust actually is, because there is a large muffler. This doesn't really have a big muffler because it's just a big, giant watermelon shooter. That's what it looks like back there. So by getting an exhaust with a resonator and a mid-pipe, that allows to take away from the rasp, and obviously it's a very high-quality exhaust. It's not going to rattle. If you're taking your 4-cylinder and you're putting an exhaust without a mid-pipe or without a resonator, things like that, that's where you can start to get that rasp from. that's where you're starting to get that rasp from. So you just need to make sure that you're avoiding that. I'm hoping this is kind of coming across all right. It's a lot of weird information to have, but I guess what I'm really trying to say is that when you're looking at exhausts, you need to make sure that you're looking at it as a whole and not just as a loud factor. Everybody wants to be loud, everybody wants to be heard and sound cool, but it doesn't, not every exhaust sounds good, and you don't want to be that guy. Everybody's making fun of you, trust me. Just because your car's loud, first off, most people are making fun of car guys anyway, unless they're other car guys. And even then, sometimes they do, because they're like, oh, you think you're so cool with your loud exhaust. You don't want to be that guy. You want to make sure that you're doing what you can to have the car sound good, to be a clean note, and that it's not overly loud. Don't just do it for the loud. Do it because it sounds good. Do it if you want it to sound like crap, go do it. You know, nobody's going to stop you. If that's what you like, that's what you like. But most people want their exhaust to sound good. And that's part of the reason I haven't put one on the Honda yet, because I'm so nervous about it. You know, there's so many different exhaust options for all these Hondas, and it's a very risky move on which one to get. So it's like, do you get one that's a little louder? Do you get one that's a little quieter? And I'm particular about the Honda in the sense I don't want a giant tip back there. I want something that looks a little more OEM. So that's also causing me to have a little bit of an issue finding something that I like. But you know, the moral of the story is louder isn't better. Do your best to get something with a resonator. Do your best to get something with a muffler, and hopefully it comes out the way you want. You throw catless headers on something, you're gonna get a little bit more rasp. You know, just take into consideration everything that you're doing when you're putting this exhaust together to make sure that it's a clean sound and that it sounds the way you want. So I hope this video again comes across all right. I felt like I was kind of jumping around with it a little bit, but like I said, moral of the story, get something with a resonator and a muffler. It's going to help you in the long run, and you're going to appreciate it much more. But like I said, be sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe down below. I got a lot more content coming, and I'm really excited about it. So I'll see you in the next video, and have a great day. Scooch out.